The Covert Narcissistic Mother When Guilt Becomes Control. Welcome back to the Family Roles series Inside School of Soul. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and in this episode, we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most overlooked roles in dysfunctional family systems, the covert narcissistic mother. She doesn't scream, doesn't rage, and rarely attacks you directly. But somehow you're always exhausted, confused, guilty, and unsure of what you did wrong. That's not accidental. That's control by design. Unlike overt narcissists who dominate through aggression or arrogance, covert narcissists rule through subtlety. They present themselves as selfless, wounded, or deeply misunderstood. They don't fight for power, they perform for sympathy. Their weapon is guilt. Their shield is martyrdom. And their goal is compliance, not connection. This is the mother who tells you she's fine while clearly sulking, who talks about how much she's sacrificed, then uses it to question your decisions, who tells relatives stories that frame you as distant, ungrateful, or lost, all while pretending to be heartbroken over how things turned out. The messaging is always clear. Your boundaries are the problem, and her suffering is your fault. To the outside world, she's generous, involved, maybe even spiritual. She might volunteer, cook holiday meals, or show up for events with warmth and smiles. But behind closed doors, she becomes emotionally manipulative, passive-aggressive, and impossible to please. This dual presentation causes a phenomenon called double binding, where you experience two conflicting realities that can't coexist. One is public, the other is private. One is loving, the other is invalidating. And the more you try to name what's happening, the more you're made to feel unstable, dramatic, or ungrateful. The covert narcissistic mother rarely accuses. Instead, she implies. She doesn't yell, she sighs. She doesn't argue, she guilt trips. If you express a boundary, she says things like, "I guess I'm just a terrible mother." If you succeed in something she doesn't control, she might say, "I hope you're not forgetting who helped you get there." If you make a decision that prioritizes your peace, she finds a way to make it about her abandonment. These aren't just annoying habits. They are precision tools designed to trigger emotional re-entry into the role she assigned you. Covert narcissism thrives in families where image is everything and silence is spiritualized. You were likely taught that love means putting others first, that good children don't talk back, and that questioning your mother is dishonor. But what you weren't taught is that emotional neglect, guilt-based parenting, and identity suppression are also abuse. They may not leave bruises, but they leave lifelong confusion about where you end and she begins. The covert mother positions herself as a perpetual victim. If your father mistreated her, she'll remind you endlessly how she stayed for the kids. If relatives disagree with her, she'll tell you how persecuted she feels. If she makes a mistake, she'll cry about how hard her life has been, redirecting all attention away from the impact she had and back onto her own pain. This tactic ensures that no conversation is ever about you. Your trauma is only valid if it mirrors hers or serves her need to be the most wounded person in the room. And the more you mature, the more her tactics intensify. When you're young, she may seem overly involved, always just trying to help. But in adulthood, that help becomes control. She'll question your partner, criticize your career, or disapprove of your parenting, usually under the guise of concern. She might call you multiple times a day, insist on being looped into decisions, or become visibly hurt when you don't share everything. And if you try to pull away, she won't explode. She'll collapse. She'll send a vague text. She'll withdraw affection. She'll post indirect quotes on social media. She'll let you know without saying a word that your distance is betrayal. One of the most damaging patterns created by covert maternal narcissism is the internalization of guilt as identity. You start to believe that your discomfort is evidence of disloyalty, that your success is somehow selfish, that needing space makes you cold. This internal narrative doesn't go away when you move out. It follows you into relationships, workplaces, and even your parenting. You second-guess your joy. You feel undeserving of ease. And you carry a subconscious need to over-explain everything to avoid being misunderstood because that's how she trained you to survive. This conditioning often shows up as the fawn response, a trauma survival strategy where you appease, overgive, or self-abandon in order to avoid perceived danger. In families with covert narcissists, the danger is emotional exile. The punishment isn't physical, it's energetic withdrawal. You learn that being chosen, favored, or loved comes with terms, emotional availability, constant access, and above all, agreement. The moment you step out of sync, you're cut off either subtly through distance or overtly through triangulation. Triangulation is a core tactic. Rather than confront you directly, the covert mother recruits others to reinforce her perspective. She might confide in your sibling, aunt, or pastor, never to seek advice, but to spread a curated narrative. You become the lost one, the difficult child, the one who's changed. And because she never says anything outright cruel, you're left with plausible deniability and maximum damage. Everyone sees her as a heartbroken mother, while you're gaslit into silence. This is why confronting a covert narcissistic mother often feels impossible. She's slippery. Every line she crosses is just below the threshold of provable harm. If you say she manipulated you, she'll say she was just worried. If you say she's controlling, she'll say she just cares too much. If you call out her pattern, she'll accuse you of being cold, distant, or even mentally unwell. This turns the conversation into a loop where you defend your sanity while she collects sympathy. But here's the truth. This is emotional abuse. This is control. This is spiritual entrapment masquerading as maternal care. So what does healing look like? First, you must decouple guilt from goodness. Feeling guilty doesn't mean you've done something wrong. It means you're breaking a rule that was designed to keep you in a role, the role of the confidant, the rescuer, the obedient child. When you stop performing, the system tries to pull you back through emotional hooks. Recognize them, and don't respond. Second, you have to stop needing her to understand. Healing doesn't begin with her apology, it begins with your clarity. Waiting for her to see your side, validate your wounds, or offer mutual respect will only reopen the trauma loop. Covert narcissists rarely self-reflect because their entire identity is built on victimhood. Reconciliation is not the goal. Liberation is. Third, build your internal witness. Start noticing where her voice still lives in your head. Is it in the shame you feel when you rest? The panic when someone is disappointed in you? The compulsion to over-explain your boundaries? That's not intuition. That's programming. And the only way to rewire it is to create a new internal language, one that centers your worth without justification. Fourth, reclaim your energy field. This means reducing contact if needed, enforcing emotional limits, and refusing to participate in the cycle. You don't have to take her calls when you're dysregulated. You don't have to answer every message. You don't have to accept every invitation, especially the ones wrapped in obligation. You can love someone from a distance, but you don't have to surrender your peace to maintain the illusion of closeness. And lastly, normalize the grief. The covert narcissist doesn't just rob you of a healthy mother-child bond. She robs you of emotional safety, of ease, of belonging. Grieving what you never had is painful. But that grief is proof that you see clearly now. And once you see clearly, you stop negotiating with shadows. You are not selfish. You are not dramatic. You are not the villain. You are someone who finally stopped mistaking manipulation for love.